Ah, is this sweet? I can't tell. We left that boy.
Hey, we have an album review. Epica with the Holographic Principle. It's their 7th album. The follow-up to 2014's The Quantum Enigma, which is an excellent album. I mean, look, Epica's had an excellent career, but especially their last album, I feel
you could say that
great.
they've had an epic career.
Oh! I think it's safe to say, between both you and I, Luke too, but mostly you and I, that The Quantum Enigma is one of the most listened to albums from us in the past 2 years.
Yep, that sounds about right.
It's just something about that album. I mean, look, I love most Epica albums, but that album in particular is just incredible. That album too came out my last day of college, so it has fond memories with me. So,
did it come out then?
yeah.
Wow.
I specifically remember my last class ended, and I went and picked that album up.
Okay, maybe I'm just not remembering it correctly.
I don't know. Anyways, so yeah, we were very much looking forward. We reviewed their first track, Universal Death Squad, when it came out a couple months ago, and liked it. Now we're here to talk about the whole album, because it's here. Nuclear Blast Records just came out. That's it.
That's it. The review's done. There you go. Minute 40 seconds. Bye.
What'd you think?
I'm gonna come right off the bat. Is that I think that this album is about as good as the Quantum Enigma, but in different ways. And I just want to get this off right out of the way, whereas the Quantum Enigma, I like the album as a whole, and so it's like I can just kind of put the album on and just listen to the whole thing, and it's great. But I think there are more songs that I think I like more, that stand out to me more on this album than on the Quantum Enigma. Whereas the Quantum Enigma, I can kind of name the Quantum Enigma, The Second Stone, The Essence of Silence, and Unchained Utopia. Whereas I feel like there's just a lot more songs from this album that I feel like that I'm going to remember this song, and I do, because like as in starting listening to this yesterday, I've had like the same like 5 or 6 songs stuck in my head a lot. So like probably my favorite song on here is Beyond the Matrix. It's probably my favorite. It's just it was kind of in the same vein that why Unchained Utopia is probably one of my favorite songs from the Quantum Enigma. I like the choir like chorus that they got going on, and it's just I like basically the whole song is really well put together, and it sounds good. It's a good of that mix of that sound that with the orchestra and the fucking band that it's all over the last album. And I think that this song kind of best encapsulates everything that they try to do on this album in a way. And so I just really like the song. Edge of the Blade, fucking, the opening riff's awesome. That song just fucking busts in, and it's like, oh, cool. And the fucking opening riff is like gets stuck in my head, and the fucking chorus. The chorus, before I sound like a broken record, most choruses on this album are really good.
Yeah.
It's just Epica is just really good at writing choruses like that are just like these guitar wise, vocal wise, even drum wise. They're just memorable. And like again, like the whole first part of the album is great. Like I said, Edge of the Blade, A Phantasmic Parade, Universal Death Squad, Divide and Conquer, which is fucking crunchy as shit, and then of course Beyond the Matrix, and then kind of the next bit of the album to me kind of blends, which is like not to say that they're bad songs. It's just that like it's where it's kind of like even goes farther than the whole thing of when I said I can just sit and listen to the Quantum Enigma, and it's like, oh, where'd all time go? But like I'm listening to it, whereas this is kind of like, oh, wait. And it's just because, not necessarily these are bad songs, it's that the songs before it and then the title track, the Holographic Principle, are all really good, and it's just that these are just kind of like not as good, and so I'm just like, not as much there. Simone Simmons does a great, it sounds great vocally on this album. There's not really too much different here from the last time she's doing what she does best. We looked at it 2 seconds ago. The guitarist who does the grunts, Mike Jensen, he does a good job. I think he's on this album more than I noticed on the Quantum Enigma.
That's one thing I noticed too, is that there's a lot of screams and a lot of just huge choir-like choruses, and I'd say there's more of those than Simone herself, although there's a lot of that. But it's just something I noticed, that they at least just use both of them more on this album than I feel the Quantum Enigma or past albums. That's just me.
Yeah. And the other thing is that I noticed that this album's more, it can sound weird to say, diverse in sound, in the sense that the Quantum Enigma kind of had this whole huge piece, whereas you can kind of look at songs like, again, Divide and Conquer is a song that's not as symphonic. It still is, but it's not as much, I would say. Kind of drawn back, especially with the main riff and things like that. There's a lot more moments on this album that I'm noticing, hey, this is just the band going, and this is kind of cool, whereas it kind of felt like there was always so much going on in the Quantum Enigma, which is really cool. And it was kind of worried, because especially first listened to, because the way you brought up, there's all these big choir choruses, and I would be like, it's going to get a little old after a while. I think they actually, at least on the songs, again, the big songs I think are all really good, they do a really good job of making those exciting and unique the whole way through. Guitar-wise, the riffs are on point. I probably like the riffs on this album more than I did on the Quantum Enigma. Again, to kind of bring back that point, the Quantum Enigma seemed more of almost like they were writing some kind of an orchestra piece, whereas this is we're gonna write good band songs, we're gonna write good metal songs, and we're gonna add on to it with other stuff, which is all good. And so, yeah, I think that this is a very, very solid album. Again, I would put it maybe not as high up as I had the Quantum Enigma, but this is definitely a very, very good album. I was not disappointed listening to this.
Yeah, I think I really like this album. Upon first listen, I was like, this is fucking good, but I almost didn't know what to make of it, because it's just really good. In a way, I just kind of listened with this, and I didn't have much thoughts as I was going through. I just kind of, took it all in, and I think this is an incredible experience to listen to this album. That's kind of how it is with every Epica album. One thing I noticed is that, this is just me, some people might not think this, but I thought the transition from the opening intro, Idola, to Edge of the Blade was slightly jarring, in that the intro to this album is just like you would expect from Epica, very epic sounding a little bit more darker tone in that song, I thought, and then it pops into Edge of the Blade, which has a little bit more of a happier sound. I think both things are awesome. I just thought their order was a little strange. Edge of the Blade is a great track. I love that track. The next track, A Phantasmic Parade, I love that one too. And people might comment and go, what the fuck, man? But I swear, the first time I heard that riff, the opening main riff, I was like, Breaking Benjamin. I know they are not related at all, but I don't know. It's just a riff that just jams, And then, it gets to the verse, and I really like the sound of Simone's voice in that verse. She just sounds so good. And then that chorus is super fucking catchy. Very big sounding, very epic sounding. I love it. Universal Death Squad, I feel, fits into this. I like Universal Death Squad more on the album than I do when it was just a single. It was out.
Yeah.
It feels so good when it's surrounded by other great songs. I fucking love that chorus, man. That guitar riff in that chorus has so much energy to it. It just makes you smile. And then Simone just sounds incredible in that chorus. That is a good fucking song from start to finish. It really is. Then you get to Divide and Conquer, which I thought was a more just crunchy track for Epica. I mean, that main riff is very crunchy, very heavy. The middle section is very slow, very fucking want to punch you in the face. It's awesome. And then the next two tracks I thought were great with Beyond the Matrix. I love the chorus in that song. I love the middle section that's slower than Once Upon a Nightmare. Once Upon a Nightmare I thought was a great track. Much slower. Really showcases Simone's voice great. In a great way. She's an incredible fucking vocalist. We've said it many times. But there's just times on here where she just blows me away all the time. With her range and just her beauty in her voice. In just how well she just fits in. And one thing that is great about Epica is they really just play to everybody's strengths, I feel. You know, they use Simone in great ways, but it's not all about her. You know, some bands that are female fronted just make the band all about the female that's singing, you know, which sometimes can work, but you know, kind of sometimes feels like a little bit of a cop out.
Feels like a little superficial. Yeah,
where it's with Epica, it's like they could probably write a song where she doesn't sing at all, and it would still be okay, you know. But they don't just rely on her. She just takes everything to the next fucking level, you know. I really like their more aggressive parts where Mark does some screaming and all that stuff. It's great. It's well done. The songwriting on here is just top notch. It feels well thought out, just like every Epica album. They're just on a roll. I really do think that. I just think this band's just going to keep killing it. I do, like Keith said, feel that towards the end of the album, it does come together a little bit too much. I just think because those songs are a little bit more straightforward Epica, and on their own, they sound great, but when you put them, one after another, they kind of come together a little bit, because there's nothing super standout about them. Once Upon a Nightmare is a little bit slower, or Beyond the Matrix just has a really catchy chorus or something, where those songs, they're good. They have solid riffs, solid vocals and everything, but they don't stand out as much. The Holographic Principle, I like as a title. If you're comparing title tracks for Epica albums, which their title tracks are very long most of the time, I think this is one of the best ones. I fucking was blown away by the title track on this album. More so than the Quantum Enigma, honestly. That track on the Quantum Enigma is fine, but it doesn't stick with me as much as a lot of the other songs in there do. But this one is a good one. I really like this album. And it's not really part of the album, but if you buy the special edition, they have something called the Acoustic Principle, where they have 5 acoustic songs that are very different. Gotta give them props for really just experimenting and spreading their wings a little bit.
Yeah.
And one thing you gotta give Epica props for, man, is they just nail their production all the time. There's so much going on in their songs, yet they just make it sound so good, and one thing is not too loud or too quiet. Everything just comes together so well with their production. It's great. I really like this album. I don't think I like it as much as the Quantum Enigma, but I do think it is definitely a solid entry into their career. Scores? Anything else?
No, nothing else. Guess I have to give it a score. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. That's what I was thinking.
8.5 for me. Good shit. check it out. Epica, the Holographic Principle, just came out. They're on tour later this year. We'll probably be seeing them.
Yeah.
Toodles.